Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at dates that went horribly, so yeah, let's just get right into the video. I remember this one time a couple were on the first date. The restaurant was empty and the guy was a regular, so I made sure that they had a great experience, hooked them up with a free app and some wine, let the lady play her music on the speakers. When I was bringing them dessert, she got a phone call and she was told that her father had died. It went from a near perfect evening to probably the worst nightmare of her life. Oh my goodness. Did that play over the speakers? Because her phone was connected to the speakers. For my way to here, the sheer number of dates I saw that were just one person going on and on about themselves and not asking the other person there a single question was mind-blowing. But I think the worst one I ever saw was when a guy asked the person he was with to quickly run lines with him for an audition he wanted to do. I think he thought it was some kind of flex, like he'll be impressing his date by slipping in his amazing acting skills before their food arrived. Not surprisingly, perhaps his acting skills were not so amazing. And then he said, "What did you think?" And instead of waiting for an answer, started explaining the brilliance behind some of his acting choices, while his date was forced to half-heartedly nod along and praise the performance. It was so painfully awkward. He was like, "What did you think?" "I was good, right? I know, I was so good. I know. Didn't even let her answer. "What do you want to eat? Perhaps a salad?" Not a waiter, but at the grocery store I worked at, we had a small dining area by the deli. 99.9% of the time, it was only ever used by people coming in on their breaks, mostly construction workers and other retail folks. Well, one time I was put on deli duty during lunch, and this guy comes in and sits at one of the tables. Mind you, we were not a full service deli. If you wanted food, you had to order it at the counter and pick it up at the register. We did not serve or do anything tableside. A few minutes later, this woman comes in and sits across from him. She looked really bewildered and confused. So I'm just taking care of stuff at the deli when I hear snapping fingers. I look up and this guy's snapping his fingers at me and it's like, "Finally, can we get some menus?" Oh no! I just look at him and gesture to the case in front of me and tell him what he sees is what we have. And he looks at the lady like he's just been slapped in the face. Then stands up and points at me and calls me wise ass. I simply tell him that we are not a full service deli, so he will need to order from the case and I will bring him up at the register. The woman at this point is very red. I remember distinctly she was a redhead and her face matched her hair. He storms over to the case. I didn't feel threatened. It's a deli case, which meant there were plenty of barrier between him and I. Plus, it was like 5 feet tall, so he wasn't going to be jumping over it. So he jabs his finger at the case and starts loudly telling me what he wants. And I'm just following along, scooping and cutting and such. Then he turns around and goes, "Hey babe, what do you want?" And she just looks at him mortified and says, "I don't even know your name. Why are you calling me babe?" I'm just trying to keep a neutral face and just waiting for the next order. And he just shrugs and turns back to me and tells me to make her a sandwich. That's embarrassing. Why? Why are some people like this? Why would you bring a date to like a deli, huh? Just bring her to like a normal place. Once again, this is a grocery store deli. We did not make sandwiches, and I told him as much. And he just goes off saying, "I have the bread." No, I didn't. The bakery did, which was on the opposite end of the stall. The meat, the cheese, and the condiments. So I just lean around and look at the woman and ask her if she actually wants anything. She says she doesn't and picks up a purse. He notices this and immediately runs back to the table. The speed at which she did made me toggle the switch on the phone by the register, which sent out a bagger needed at register 20. Register 20 was code for the deli, and we didn't have baggers. It was the code for security. Luckily, he didn't touch her. He was just panicking. But she just gets up and hightails it away through produce to the exit. And he starts to follow. But our security guy came around the corner and I pointed to the dude. So he stopped him and delayed him long enough for the lady to get clear of the store. Then he just stormed out. She came back to the store like a month or two later and came through my checkout lane. Asked if I remembered her. I said yes. I guess this guy was a total sweetheart at the office they worked at down the highways a ways. So she accepted the request for a lunch date. But didn't know he was going to do it at a grocery store deli. She figured the address he gave her was wrong and was just amazed that he was actually there. And of course didn't know how much of a complete jackass he was. Turns out afterwards he hounded her at work so much, she eventually complained and he was fired. Wow! She actually came back and told this person the story. I just find it insane that he brought her to like a grocery store for a date. Like, what? What are you thinking? Okay. Seriously, he could have went to like a fast food restaurant, anything. But a grocery store? What the? But they worked together too and she didn't know his name. So like, what? He never introduced himself to her? He just asked her out? Not even like, "Hi, I'm, Not even that. Man tried to order for his date. She didn't like that, but it was early in the date, so she said nothing. He ordered an expensive appetizer that she didn't want, only he ate it. She looked not impressed, but still seemed to be trying to feign interest. Came time to order dinner and he tried to order for her. Something expensive, surf and turf. She said no thank you. She was a vegetarian, apparently established before the date, and he wanted the vegetarian dish. He didn't back down and insisted she have the surf and turf. She again said no, she wouldn't eat it. He countered with he could afford it, so why not? She left. He thought it was about the money? She's vegetarian. Why are you trying to take her dish? She's vegetarian. Why is he trying to take her one? I'm so confused. Can you imagine being like allergic or something? Let's say she's allergic to fish and he orders like something with fish and he's like, you can take mine. You can take my order with fish. I'm gonna take yours. What the hell is that? What is he trying to do? Had a customer who was meeting a guy for a blind date. I saw a man walk in the room, scan the room and walk out. After a couple lonely glasses of wine and constantly checking of the phone, it became apparent that he bailed. I asked if she wanted to order a meal and she declined. I gave her a dessert and told her the bill had been taken care of. Aww. That's nice of the person to just take care of the meal. I've witnessed 2 failed marriage proposals. One was uneventful. The proposal happened and she quietly said no. They both left looking dejected. As for the other one, he was an obnoxious jerk and she seemed over it. He proposed at the desert. She said no. He tried to argue and they ended up yelling at each other in the main outside the restaurant. She was right to turn him down. Wow. I feel like never propose to someone if you don't know that the answer is going to be yes. Right? Why do some people just propose like spontaneously? Like you need to know that the person that you're with is going to say yes. You don't guess it and be like, I hope she says yes. No, you need to know that she's going to say yes. It was these 2 kids that I guess were 12 and 14. The boy's mum drove them to the restaurant. The mum planned on effing off to the bar so they could enjoy themselves. The boy would not let her leave the table no matter how many hints her and the girl tried to throw. I saw that he was physically holding his mother under the table. The boy was so nervous that he barely talked to the girl. He mostly talked to his mum, and the girl mostly talked to his mum. It was so painful to watch. Oh, so it's like a kid date. That's kind of cute, but that's so innocent. But you can't even blame the kids, right? Because, you know, maybe the boy's just really awkward and he's really scared around his crush. I saw many good dates, bad dates and everything in between. The saddest was a couple that seemed like a good match. Lady was so excited, but the guy was insecure but successful. Persian dude in early 30s. He got there early and it was a great date spot. I chatted with him while he nursed a drink to cool the nerves. He was a very down-to-earth guy and felt like we genuinely connected. She shows up and was excited, until he talked about himself and his career for the next 90 minutes. I wanted to scream at the guy to ask a question, but he was trying to impress her and was a totally different guy. Whoa, 90 minutes talking about himself? That's a bit too much. Ooh, how do you even have that much to talk about, man? I don't get it. Like, how? How? About yourself? I can't talk about myself for that long. I can talk about things for long, but not about myself. I don't know anything about myself. Like, don't talk about me, talk about you, talk about the things, talk about the weather, talk about everything else but me. Well, that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me in the comments down below what your thoughts are. And as always, thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked it and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!